In this video, we are going to learn how to create a fall border for a card in Photoshop. Now here in front of me, I have google.com. I'm going to search Google for fall border. And now remember, when you come to Google, the best thing to do if you're looking for specifically images is to click on the Images tab at the top. Now here we get a ton of results specifically for what we're looking for. Now we want to make sure that we have a very high resolution image. That way when we print it, it looks really good on our paper. So I'm going to go to Search Tools, Size, and Large. Now here we have a lot of the fall borders that we're looking for. I'm going to try this one, and I click on it to see a better preview of it. We can see it's a PNG, so there's no background to it, which is why the checkerboard is in the background. And if you look over here underneath of the actual title, you'll see the size of it. That is huge. That is perfect for what we're looking for. I'm going to click View Image to hopefully get the image. So now when you click on View Image, it could do a variety of different things. It could open up a different website, it could open up, or it could just download straight to the computer image. Here is an example of the image on a web page that you would want to save to use as a border in Photoshop. I could right click and go to Save Image As. Doing that will allow you to save the image to a certain spot on your computer, such as your desktop. Save. And now if you go to your desktop, you'll see this image. But I want to use this image. So this one opened up in Preview. Preview is a program on your computer that allows you to look at images, documents, and other things on your computer without opening up a specific program to view them. So here in Preview, I'm going to click on the file at the top, because if you click on the file at the top of any of these programs, you can actually move and drag the file to a certain part or location on your computer. So here, I'm going to drag it over here, and it created a shortcut for me on my desktop. That way I can access it very easily from Photoshop. Another option, which many people do, and I do a lot, is doing File, Export. File, Export, and saving it as a PNG to a specific place, such as your desktop, will allow you to create a duplicate of it in a different place. So I'm going to save it to my desktop. I'm going to replace the shortcut that I made, and now on my desktop you can see that we have the file right there. So what I want to do now is I want to close this because it doesn't matter, and I can close this because that doesn't matter. I'm going to open up Photoshop. Here in Photoshop, I'm going to go to File, New. Now, a card usually is about, and we're going to do a vertical card. Width would usually be about, let's go for 3 inches. Nah, it's too small. Let's go 5 inches. And height equals about 7. So it's a 5 by 7. You want the resolution to be about 300 for the idea that 300 is the exact resolution you need to be able to print something at perfect quality. Anything lower than that, you're going to get pixelated, or it's going to look blurry or not very good. Now I press OK, and we have our basic card. Now here, and over here on the right, we have our background. Our background is the just normal background that you get with any of these Photoshop documents. I'm going to leave that go for now. I'm going to go back to my Finder at the bottom, go to my desktop, and you'll see that I have my stuff ordered by date added and date modified. You can choose that and choose the options for the view up at the top under this little, it's a view menu. It doesn't look so much like a view menu anymore. It looks like a bunch of boxes with lines above it. But when you click on that, you get a bunch of different options to see how you can sort your content. I usually do it by date added. That way, any of the newest stuff pops to the top, or if it hasn't registered yet, guess what? It pops to the bottom. So here is my transparent image. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click and drag it up into my document. And guess what? that creates a new layer with my transparent border. Now, I just brought it in, so it's a new layer, but you can see at the top that we haven't approved that we want to place it in our document yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in here when the mouse and the arrow turns into the solid arrow. I'm going to drag it down to the bottom and place it where I want it to go. I want it to hit right there at the bottom. Perfect. Now I can either press enter or I can hit the check mark at the top to apply the change. Cool. Now on the right over here you see my layer and the background. I'm going to click on my layer and then I'm going to right click on my layer on the words to get the different layer options. I'm going to duplicate the layer and I'm going to call this copy of border, and then I'm going to use top to make sure that we understand that we're going to put this next layer at the top. Now we have two over here. I'm going to click on my layer just to make sure it's selected. Click on my move tool, which I can also get to by using the letter V, and I'm going to drag this up to the top. Now obviously it's the wrong way. To transform it, the way I always use to transform is not to go up to Edit, Free Transform. I always do Command T. And that gets you this beautiful Free Transform menu. Then if you move your mouse to the outside of it, you get the actual, it's almost like an L shape with two arrows. If you click and drag, you're going to rotate it. But a little trick is that if you hold down the Shift key, you will actually rotate it in increments of 15. So here it's 165 and then it goes right over to 0. Now I let go. I'm going to accept my changes and I'm going to move it up to the top to where I want it to go. Beautiful. Now we have a border on the bottom and on the top. Let us add another border on the right and the left. So here I'm going to repeat the process, duplicate the layer, border left, and you'll notice that here, because we copied the top and not the bottom, if I drag, it comes from the top this time. I'm going to do my Command T and rotate it straight to the side, move it over, and see how it looks. And press enter just to get a better sense of how it looks. Now that looks pretty good, but we are getting a little bit of the empty space on the top and the bottom. So what we can do is I am going to again duplicate this border, duplicate layer, border left, copy, that's fine. Now we have a copy that is above the border left. I'm going to first move this layer on the right below border left because I want it to be behind my main border left, which is currently in the spot. Now I'm going to move that other layer down to about here, and as you can see it looks like I'm kind of continuing everything all the way down. So now I'm going to do this really easily actually. I'm going to hold down the Alt or Option key on my keyboard, and then you'll see my mouse turns into a double mouse. If I click and drag off anything now, I'm making a copy of it and bringing it straight up. Now I'm going to also hold the Shift key down, so this is holding two things down at the same time. But with the Shift key, it's making sure that it's perfectly parallel with all of the other things that we just added. Now I'm going to let go. And as you can see, we have a beautiful border on the right now, on the left now. What I'm going to do is over here, we have 3 different layers that equal the border on the left. I'm going to hold down Shift and click all of them. So I clicked on the first one at the bottom, I held down Shift, and I clicked on the top one. That selected the last one and the first one and everything in between. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to link layers. Linking the layers means if I move one, I'm going to move all of them. See? See? I'm going to Command Z to undo that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of them again, right click and duplicate the layers. Now I have a perfect copy of them that's already selected for me. You can tell it's selected because they're highlighted over here on the right. I'm going to move it over and you can see that I now have an extra little border. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do Command T and then I'm going to rotate it using my Shift tool. And drag it over to the right. And then I'm going to use my arrow to inch it over just slightly. And there we have our fall border. Perfect. I'm going to approve the transformation, and now we have our fall border. Now, to add text to this, which is obviously the last thing to do, you would click on the text tool on the left here, but instead of clicking and then typing in, what you want to do is you want to go up to where you think the edge is going to be, and you want to click and drag until you get a nice little box inside all of the white spot in the middle, and let go. Now what this does is if you put in text and you keep typing in text, etc., etc., what will happen is if you need to resize this to fit in this little area better, you can always hit the T key, click on the text, and now these boxes will let you resize the area where the text is, but not resize the actual text. If you just do a normal T, click, and type away, what will happen is if you go back to it to make changes to it, you cannot actually change how that text wraps around. If you make any changes to it, you are actually doing things such as stretching it or making it really, really tall and thin. And that doesn't look pretty at all. So I'm going to delete that layer. And we're back to our beautiful fall border for a card.